Welcome to the History Lord. Join me here today outside St Pancras Old Church. Now, it's one of the oldest places of Christian worship in London. It dates back to the early 4th century. And believe it or not, St Pancras Parish used to stretch all the way from Oxford Street in the south all the way up to Highgate in the north. We're not going to be talking about the church too much today. We're actually going to be looking at one of the old inhabitants of the churchyard, and that was Jonathan Wild. Welcome to London. Jonathan Wild was born in Wolverhampton in 1682, or around that time. He came to London and he became a very notorious underworld operator. He operated on both sides of the law and he called himself the Thief-Taker General. He was operating at a time when there was no established police force in the country and people needed him to look after them. He actually worked, as I say, on both sides of the law, and he would often claim rewards for jewellery that he or his operatives had stolen. He was also a government consultant on crime, law and order. He was responsible for the arrest and the execution of Jack Sheppard, a petty criminal who'd risen to fame and became part of the adulation of the British public. Trouble was, at Jack Sheppard's trial, people started to turn on Jonathan Wild, and he himself was arrested and put on trial and eventually sentenced to death. Whilst in Newgate prison, Jonathan Wild tried to commit suicide. This was unsuccessful and he was taken to Albarn and hanged in front of a huge crowd. In fact, one person on that day in the crowd was Daniel Defoe, and he actually said on the 24th of May 1725, he said, "Wherever he came there was nothing but hollows and huzzas, as if he'd been upon a triumph." Well, the irony of the day was the hangman, a chap called Richard Arnett, was actually a guest at Jonathan Wild's wedding. His body was brought here in the dead of night from Tyburn and buried next to Elizabeth Mann, his third wife. That was contrary to the usual conditions at the time. A condemned man was usually buried in unconsecrated ground. But he didn't last long here. He was actually the victim of a crime himself. He was a victim of body snatchers, the resurrectionists, and his body was sold to medical research and he was dissected. His skeleton was preserved and you can still see it today in the Hunterian Museum in Lincoln's Inn Fields. Well, that's the strange story of Jonathan Wild, a one-time resident of St Pancras Old Church. Thank you for watching. If you do enjoy these videos, then please do subscribe. And if you want to see when they're uploaded, there is a little notification bell just down below. If you want to see what we do outside of these videos, please go to historylord.co.uk, see about the walking tour of London, or go in the description below and see about Last Line Films, which is James's YouTube channel. It's rather good. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you very, very soon.